things. I wouldn't agree with that. So yeah, like if I saw some kind of group and they had a history or something like that, like being violent, I wouldn't really want to be involved in that. So I'll just stay
Like,
home.
I get what you're saying. Like, I see groups chanting Nazi scum, or just like
Yeah, and there's some groups will
attacking
get screwed.
attacking people's ideology before they even say things. And uh, but the way that I see it is, it's not just those groups; it's the cultural attitude that's prevalent among the US. Because like I follow the politics over there, and I see politicians and journalists, news reporters talking to each other, and they seem to just be imitating the same thing in a less vulgar way. Like they seem to be using sort of like just amicable ways to talk to each other to hide their vulgar trivializations of the subject matter. And
Mm. I don't.
that's what makes it even more funny to me, because it's like, why would you even hide it? Why don't you just, if you want to express something really vulgar, just get it out there. Because the point that you're making is ridiculous anyway. So
Yeah, I don't really watch news too much anymore. I kind of lost faith in journalism. Like when I was really young. Like for a while, I would watch news all the time, and I just noticed this system. And I forgot what it was. It was at some point. It was early back then when it was somewhat professional. They did some kind of a article segment. It was something that was so like asininely dumb, and just like not as I like we realized this is not news, this is entertainment news, and this is not even real.
yeah,
What is the point? I'm not watching this ever again. I was like 12 or something like that. I'm
you
like,
are a
I'm
wise
done with this.
person.
What?
You are wise. Like, I mean, you don't see
Oh.
people just making that simple observation that, like, if you keep watching this, it will result in negative outcomes to your own ideology, to your mentality, to your value system. Like, it will corrupt your value system if you keep watching that shit. Like,
Well, it was the same thing over and over again. It would be like a sad story, um, an interesting, bizarre story, some cutesy, happy story, and then a really heavy tragedy. Then some, some kind of like off, like something that's like not neutral or whatever. It's something that's distracting. That's just interesting or whatever. Like something odd, and then some cute, happy story, and then extreme tragedy. And I'm just like, this is really dumb. And then,
just,
I'm like, are these tragedies? Are they even? I don't know. I feel like it doesn't add to any value of knowing it. It just makes things depressing, or I feel like there's pushed to change people's opinions. Um,
yeah.
and I forgot who said it. Somewhere, I don't remember who it was. It's kind of recently, I think. Someone said something like, the news, if you watch it all the time, it'll just like rot your mind. It'll just make you really upset and angry and stuff. And I'm just thinking about my grandma. She watches it all the time. And she
Yeah.
always goes off complaining and saying, like, oh, this horrible thing happened. Oh, this horrible thing happened. Oh, and it just like feeds to her anger. I'm like, ah,
Yeah.
why? No. Like, or why are you so mad? Or why do you hate this group of people? You shouldn't, I don't know.
Yeah, I get what you're getting at. It's like, I don't think, like, people, like, just most people, I don't think they have the ability to think about how watching news influences their, like, emotions on a timeline. Like they can clearly see that something makes them mad in a split second. But if you think about it in a long period of time, you could be completely happy the whole day, and then as soon as you start watching it, 3 hours passes, and then you're suddenly this fucking like bitter person, and it's just like, where did this bitterness come from? And because you've been watching fucking news. But it seems that they don't recognize that watching it results in negative outcomes. Like I watch the news all the fucking time, but I choose my sources like with extreme precaution. So
Mm.
like every time I'm watching news, I'm constantly thinking, like, is this manipulating my value system
Yeah.
in a way that results in negative outcomes? And if I find a pattern where it is, I'll just cut that news source, or I'll just focus on that news source minimally, and then that makes me able to not let media hijack my amygdala, like the part of your brain responsible for emotions.
Yeah.
So, like, I probably don't even. I'm not saying that I have like the best way of obtaining information. I've probably got a lot to learn because, in all honesty, I still have amygdala hijacks where I'll just get angry like once a month and just post this Facebook rant and be like, fuck this, fuck that, fuck everybody. And I don't know where it comes from. It's just like, it's clearly that is indicative of unhealthy behavior. And I know that it comes from what I'm reading, like what news sources I'm following. And it's just like, I'm doing all that I can to still try to interpret the information without letting my amygdala be hijacked.
Well, I feel like being angry isn't a bad thing. That used to be something I was really scared about. I used to be really worried about being angry because this is me being a little kid now. Observing when people got angry, I for some reason made a connection that anger equals pain for others, and I don't like hurting other people, so I'll try not to be angry. But I realized that it's not really healthy holding back all that anger because it'll just bottle up into a big ball of energy that's will eventually be released. That's another thing. Just in general, bottling up emotions is not that good at all. So
Yeah,
I feel like with anger, it's not a negative thing. Like with certain stuff, when I notice when someone gets mad about something, like they're passionate about, with something being wrong, or just being mad about some kind of aspect of the world, and they're like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I apologize for being mad about this." I'm like, "No, that's not a bad thing. Like that kind of shows you really care about shit. That's why you're mad."
yeah,
And also another thing is, at least for me, I know it's probably difficult for other people finding ways, but I noticed that if I have a means of venting or expressing my emotions through some form where in a certain structured format where no one would get hurt, it tends to help me. Like I personally,
yeah,
I like drawing and writing and like running or exercise or something to get my anger out through those means. Usually, it's like I'm using that energy to create something positive instead of just leashing it out on somebody, yelling in their face in the streets during a protest. I don't think that's a good way of venting your anger.
I can totally relate. Like for the very most part of my life, I thought like being angry was like by default a negative thing. Like by default, it resulted in negative outcomes. And it was only until I think 2023 or 22. I'm 24 now, so only a couple of years ago where it just started to occur to me from like being really absorbed into philosophy, that not bottling shit up and just like venting when you honestly like feel something. Like as long as you think about the consequences of what you're saying and think about what impact it's going to have. As long as you think about, as long as you think whether will this result in more negative outcomes or more positive outcomes. And if you can't see any negative outcomes from the anger that you're going to express, then why not? Why not just say like, this is how I fucking feel right now. Like this is how this makes me feel. It's not like you're insulting anybody or putting anybody down. It's just like this is how it fucking affects me. And I've been doing that lately because it's just like, why not? Why not just, because like nobody gives a fuck in this world. Nobody cares how you're feeling. Why not just say, yeah, I'm just fucking venting. But as long as you're not hurting anybody, as long as you're just like, just letting off steam, and that's okay. But when it can get too far, I feel like, you're crossing the boundary and actually your emotions are resulting in negative outcomes, which is what people do in protests because they form in groups and they're like, this is the time for me to.
It's not a really good format.
To pledge my allegiance to a certain group, a certain ideology, and scream at somebody and put them use all the most disgusting ad hominem arguments that I can to try to make them feel like shit. And it's just like, no, just take a step back and describe your anger in your own time. You can do that in a way that won't result in negative outcomes. But people don't want to do that. They want to form groups to do that. So that makes me think human nature is just like this sort of group thinking structure where the vast majority of humans will abide by that because that's the only way they know how systems of ideology works. It's been hard for me to understand because it's so incongruent to my value system, but I'm beginning to understand it, and I'm beginning to see them for what they are, and I'm not afraid to describe it. I don't mean to be demeaning to anybody specifically, but there comes a point in time as a scientist where you need to describe what you actually see in this world, and if you're afraid to describe what you see, then that's a bad thing. Nothing should hold me back to describe what I actually see, as long as it doesn't result in negative outcomes. And I think I can provide an a clear picture of what's going on without people taking offense. And if I can do that, then I think that will be a good
thing. Okay. It's really interesting, a lot of things you said. I'm trying to remember the points I had before, because there's new ideas that kept springing out. Okay, groupthink. What was the last thing you just said?
Mentality.
Oh, trying to get people to recognize things. Okay, yeah, those are the 2 points. The first one, before I go on a tangent, is I think that is a good first step, because that's something I noticed that before anyone can do anything in making a change or improving, it's kind of good to be aware of things and recognizing things for what they are. Oftentimes, though, I notice for many people, usually I break it down, and for me, I usually find it being this common answer is people will kind of go into some kind of a pattern or some kind of people are pretty I'm going to just say complicated, because there's so many different systems and things going on in their head at the same time, and they're all layered. So one of the things they do is they have this system of either it's justification, distraction, and denial.
What, sorry? You said distraction and denial. I didn't hear the first.
Justification.
Justification, right? So justification, distraction, and denial.
Those are the common things I usually see in a lot of people. And it can either go into one thing, or it could be 2 of them, or 3 of them all at the same time. It could be in different order. But one thing I noticed is at least the factors that could at least be changed is distraction. It's like if someone is pointed, not everyone is receptive, because if you point something and they get all mad, they get defensive is also another thing, defense mechanisms, which goes in with the denial. And then the justification, and then distraction. They'll go into a defensive
thing. You want to avoid that. It's best to avoid that, because if people are just responding with the defense mechanisms, then clearly then there's no opportunity to hear opposing views or hear conflicting ideologies.
I think everyone has a defense, to a degree, a defense mechanisms. For me, naturally, sometimes I'll respond to something and take it personally, and then I have to tell myself after I go back and look at the situation and try to really see that, oh, I was